And the recording is starting. So with the recording, okay, so basically we're going to do a couple of what's new items, kind of giving you an introduction to what's different in 2010. Then we'll talk about formatting tips. First of all, let's talk about what's new. As you can see, just every other tab, we have the same number of tabs. But the biggest difference in tabs is the, I'm going to go to file sharing very quickly, and I'm going to show you the biggest difference is the, hold on just a second, I see get it. The biggest difference is over here is called the File tab. And from the File tab, you go to the Backstage area. A couple of quick things I want to point out on the Backstage area are under Save or the Save As options. And under the Save As options, as you can see, as I click under Save As type, I can save as a PDF. So in addition to saving my workbook as a 2003 document, as an regular Excel workbook, I have the PDF option. That PDF option is also available through our Save and Send feature. The Save and Send allows me to create a PDF document. The Save to Web option allows us to work with the Windows SkyDrive. And with that Windows SkyDrive allows me to actually share this document and store it on the web, so that I can, if you create a Windows SkyDrive folder on your computer on the cloud, you can save it to that Windows SkyDrive document. The other item under my Backstage area that I want to point out is the print option. And the reason I point this out is because there's a couple of really neat features to the print option that are new. The first one is that you can page through the document. As you can see here, I might want to change the orientation of my document to landscape versus my portrait option. And I know that I need to do that because, as you can see, I've got a two-page document, the second page just being a couple of cells. So I have a print preview over here on the left side, on the right side. In addition, I also can choose any number of printers from here. I can choose how I want it printed, single-sided or double-sided, how I want it to be oriented in my print. So I can change that orientation very quickly instead of going back to the worksheet and changing my orientation. I can also set margins from here. So all of these features are built into the print function. And okay. Okay. The other item we have on here is the Quick Access Toolbar. The one thing I like about the Quick Access Toolbar is the ability for me to be able to very quickly access common options within Excel. For example, I can use this Quick Access Toolbar to, which is up here above the Home and File tab, and I can use this to save, do a quick spell check, create new documents, open an existing document, or print preview. By default, you also have the undo and redo buttons. And to add a button, all you do is click this, the Quick Access Toolbar Customize button, which is the arrow with a line above it. Click that, and then just check off whichever you want to show. So I can do this very quickly. One of the other things is JT might find this useful, is a very quick option to sort. as well. Under the More commands, I can open this More commands, and I can do even more things, including doing auto sum, which is right here, creating a table, converting to a table, and the quick print, merge and center. All of these options are available very quickly. So if you're using something within Excel that you use all the time, this is very convenient for you to access Excel and access that option. Next is the mini toolbar. The mini toolbar is available pretty much in any Word option and is only available when you're editing text within Excel. So I'm going to go back here just up to the sharing function, and if I wanted to edit any text within my Excel document, all I'd have to do is click inside the cell, highlight it, and then when I highlight that information, I move my mouse just slightly up and this quick access toolbar appears. And from here it's basic things, font color, font size, bold, underline, italic, and then again I can change font size. So it's a very quick and easy way to edit cells within Blackboard, within Excel. Feel free to open up that worksheet that I gave you and open that up and play around with that as much as possible. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand or to speak clicking the talk button. You're more than, or join me with text. We'll be more than happy to answer any questions as they go along. One other item I wanted to show off that I don't use much, but I've talked to some people who think that it's a very neat option, are key tips. And the key tips option basically allows me to use keystrokes in order to access different functions within the Excel workbook. Just tap the Alt button, and when you tap the Alt button, as you can see, I've got a series of numbers and letters that correspond to different places within my menu. For example, this first set of letters, F, H, and P, they all relate to tabs. So, for example, if I wanted to go to the Page Layout tab, I push the P. The Page Layout tab opens, and then again, using keystrokes, for example, O for orientation, I can click O, and then I can very quickly change the orientation of my worksheet. Very quick and easy. Once you've completed the operation is done, and you just push the Alt key again, and then you can make changes in your document. For example, I'm going to go back and hit Alt again, press H for home, press the H key for home, and now I can say press 1 to remove the bold, and then I can change the color of the cell very quickly and easily. And then I've made the changes to that cell that I made before. I'm going to skip through the basic areas. Does anybody really need me to basic some of these basic functionality? I did want to point out a couple of the navigation on here, but I think the rest of it's fine. Okay. The one thing I do want to point out here is the navigation, and a lot of people forget this, but Excel works on a series of tabs. Each tab represents a different section of your worksheet as I click on these tabs below at the bottom. The wonderful cool thing about this is that I can also navigate by clicking the tabs, or I can navigate by clicking these arrows and running through the different tabs. So if I've got an extremely large workbook, I can easily click and go through any one of these tabs and find the worksheet that I need. One of the things, and I'm sure some of you know, is probably the most important thing that you can do is to name each tab on your worksheet, especially if you need to reference that worksheet using some other functions, such as if you're using a merge, or you need to access that from a data standpoint. It's much easier to find the worksheet that you need as long as you have gone through and named your tabs.
Hey, Terry?
Yes.
Yeah, another real good trick with that tab down there is if you've got like dozens and dozens of sheets, you can right-click that area and it'll give you a complete listing of all the sheets, and you can go directly to it.
Okay. So if anybody didn't hear, John was telling me that if you right-click the sheet, then I can access the sheet. So I'm going to do a quick file share here and go back to my Excel. And as I said, John said, I right-click on the sheet and...
No, right-click that area where the you can tab that.
Oh,
right there, right-click there.
So yeah, and then it also
there's all your sheets.
That's cool, John. I never knew that. And the nice thing about this is also it also checks off and lets you know exactly what sheet that you're on, so you can change sheets from there. Cool, John. Thank you. I found that John, you probably attest to this. Working with multiple worksheets, especially if you're working on a worksheet that is multiple pages. One of the things that, especially novice users of PowerPoint, kind of get confused on is that each worksheet can have multiple pages. And so when you're printing or saving when you're printing a worksheet, it's going to print out as many worksheets, as many pages as that worksheet has, but it actually won't print out the entire workbook, which is all of those pages in one group. Also, if you save an Excel spreadsheet, an Excel worksheet as a PDF, you only save that particular worksheet. You don't actually save the entire workbook as a PDF. So if you're saving your Excel as a workbook, you'll have to actually, as a workbook in PDF, you'll actually have to go to each tab and save each worksheet as an individual PDF. Yes, John.
Okay, on that, if you print to PDF, the print dialog box has a option to print the entire workbook.
Oh, cool.
And then you can, if you've got multiple tabs that are all formatted for printing, you can print it all in one big PDF.
Okay, so I'm going to go here to my File tab and click Print. And once I click File and Print, and then where's the...
Pull down the Print Active Sheets. See where it says the very first under Settings?
Yeah, and it says on the Active Sheets, and then I can also print the entire workbook. Or I can print a section of the workbook as well.
Yeah.
Very cool. Thanks, John. Okay, a little quick check-in. How's everybody doing? Are there any questions that anybody has? Anna, you're not having to work with. Just please let me know if there's any questions that you have. or raise your hands, and we can take care of it. Okay, thank you, Anna. All right. Let's see. A couple of highlighting things to also mention to you is I have found that when you're highlighting, it's okay. You go to home. When you're highlighting, if you click the top of the column, it highlights the entire column. If you click the number of the row, it highlights the entire row, and then you can click and drag. The only problem with Excel is that if you're using the click and drag method to highlight, once you go past the first page, it kind of goes haywire, and it will start highlighting page to page to page, and you can kind of get really messed up very quickly. So what I like to do is use the arrow keys on my computer and the shift key. And what I mean by that is that I can hold down my shift key and then hold down arrows, and I can do entire rows and entire blocks, and so I can be more precise as when I'm highlighting. Also, if I do get kind of lost or pushed away, if I do a Control Home, it takes me back to my cell A1 just by holding the Control key and the Home key down at the same time. If I hit Control and End, it doesn't go to the end of the worksheet. It goes to the last active or the last column with data in it on the worksheet. It doesn't actually go to the very end of the worksheet. If I go Control Page Down, it goes to the next worksheet. If I can do Control Page Up, it pages back through the worksheet. So there's another very easy way to page through your different tabs by using Control Page Up and Page Down. So Control Home takes me to the first cell of the worksheet, and Control End takes me to the last cell with data in it. So those are some just really convenient ways to navigate through your Excel worksheet. Okay. Inserting and deleting rows and columns are very easy. If you're going to add a row or a column, the best thing to do is to just hold it, as you highlighted the entire column, if you just click the column and hold on just a second. Just click on the column and highlight the entire column, and then just click Insert. It automatically inserts a column. Columns are inserted to the left of the highlighted column, and rows are inserted above the highlighted column. The same thing goes if you want to delete a column or a row. Just click Insert, highlight the column, and click Delete, and it will delete the column, or highlight the row and hit Delete, and it will delete the row. You do have the option of inserting cells just by clicking within a cell. You can click within a cell and insert a row as well, or insert a column. The same thing with deleting. So that's pretty much most of the basics. Tabs can be renamed just by clicking on the tab. in addition to right-clicking on the tab, if you right-click on the tab and you click, there will be a menu that appears that says Insert, Rename, Move or Copy, Protect Sheet, and Tab Color. And you can change the color. One of the things that I find that's really kind of neat is this mover is the copy sheet function, which allows me to be able to format to copy an entire worksheet. The reason this is useful is because there are times that you will want to that you might have a worksheet that you're going to use, say, month after month or year after year. So if you click the worksheet and click Move or Copy, you can move the worksheet or you can create a copy of the worksheet. In addition to being able to copy the worksheet and insert it someplace else within your worksheet, and that's all I need to do is just tell it where I want the copy to go and click OK, I can also move it to another open workbook. So for example here, I can copy this page, which is Chicago. I can copy this and I'm going to move it to Training 2012 XLS and move it to the last worksheet. I check Create a Copy to copy it. If I don't check that, it will actually move it to the other worksheet. So I want a copy of this worksheet. I click OK, and not only does it copy the worksheet, but it also opens up that specific workbook. A couple of quick formatting things as well. The formatting can be done as an entire group very quickly and easily. And the way to do that is to click the Format tab. To do this, I'm going to go back to my worksheet here. And I can go to the font key and click, and this opens up another menu. And this other menu to format allows me to change fonts, change font styles, all kinds of different options. But with this key, by clicking this little arrow down here, all these little arrows within any of the ribbons on Excel will always have an additional menu. By clicking the font or alignment or number menu, I actually open this Format Cell menu, and this Format Cell menu allows me to do multiple things. I can set numbering options, I can set alignment options, so aligning the text, say, so if I align the text within the cell to, say, to match so that the text aligns and looks a lot neater, especially if one of my cells has multiple lines. I can also, again, set the font. I can build borders, and I can change the fill color. All of these options are here. I also have an option for protection to lock the cells so that anybody other than me can't mess with them. The wonderful thing about this option is that, so that anyone other than the person who's at work, who's using that, who has saved that document, can adjust them. One of the things that's really nice about this is that if you're going to build a brand new worksheet, one of the first things that you do is to go into the Format Cells option and actually create a lot of the formatting before you even start adding data to the cells. And what I mean by things like that is, for example, under number, if I'm going to be pretty much, this is going to have a lot of numeric data that's doing currency, then I can highlight the entire worksheet or highlight a big section of my worksheet and click on my font option, and then I can say change the font for that entire section to 11. I can put it in italic. I can come over here and make sure all that my numbers are set to currency. I can align. I can also do some alignment to make sure that, say, if I have too much text in a cell, I can do wrap text, or I can merge cells, or I can make sure that that my text appears in the center, horizontally in the center, or centered vertically. And once I set all of those options, then I can click OK, and it will format my entire worksheet for that particular sheet, instead of having to go through it and do that process one time, again and again and again and again for each of these formatting options. One of the things that I'm sure JT will confirm is one of the most important things that you can do when you're working with an Excel worksheet is to actually take the time to plan what you want your worksheet to look at. And once you plan that, again, you can format your cells, you can format for numbers, format for all these different things. Another thing that tends to happen within a worksheet Thanks, Kenneth. One of the things that I always faced when I was working with Excel, and I thought I'd done something seriously wrong and broke it, is this number function. Whenever you're working with numbers, if the cell's not wide enough, you get this these number, or the numeric data will appear as number symbols. And basically what it's telling you is that the cell's not wide enough. This happens also when you're working with data within a cell, in that the data within the cell appears because there's not enough information in here to give it say, for example, I've narrowed some of these cells here. So instead of San Antonio, it says San Antone, or my zip code's too narrow. Or I've got some, my phone numbers are set wrong, and I can't really tell what's going on as far as what those numbers are. So what I can do here is I just put the mouse in between the two cells, and I just double click. Now make sure that you have that you can see I've got some different mouse orientations here. I've got a big plus sign, which means I can edit the text. I've got an arrow, which means if I click, I'm going to select the entire column. I can also move in between these two cells, and you can see that mouse pointer now has two arrows and a solid block line. Once I get that, I double click, and then it resets my cell. In this case, I'm going to also kind of manually move it over, because I actually want that word zip code to appear in the cell. One of the normal formatting options that we have that a lot of people don't really necessarily realize is this numeric, I can edit my numbers. So I'm going to come over here and highlight the phone number cell and click the number button. And I'm going to click, under my number tab, I'm going to click special. And what I can do here is I can set this so that every time I put in a number, I just type in the 10 numbers. And Excel will automatically format this and put in my parentheses and my dashes. The same thing goes for Social Security numbers. As you can see, I've got this one. I'm going to change it very quickly. I've got these Social Security numbers in here, and it's just a series of numbers. Whereas if I click here and click on my number option, and again go back to special and change it to Social Security number, now I don't have to worry about dashes. Every time I type a number in here, as you can see, it automatically puts it into that Social Security number format.
Hey, Gary?
Yeah.
I'm not on application share. I don't know if anybody else is. I'm on the PowerPoint presentation.
Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, I see that. Thanks for bringing that up. There we go. You see it now? Okay. Oh, that's nice. So for those of you who were not able to see that because I had the wrong button pushed, again, I can just put that mouse in between, make sure I have my mouse pointer as a double edge with the double arrows going to either side and then a solid line. And I double click on that and it automatically writes my cell. And again, I just highlight the entire column, click number, and change that number formatting. I'm going to go ahead and change it back to what it was before. And then I go back here to number, and I change that number formatting to special and Social Security number. And it automatically puts my Social Security number in there. This number here, as you notice that one doesn't change. And the reason that didn't change is because when this number was input, it was actually input with the dashes. So if I go back here, it automatically will go back to that format. The reason that you can notice that was formatted a different way is if you'll notice the alignment of the text within the cell is slightly different. It's actually moved over and left aligned. So that is why I noticed that was the number 5 formatting was incorrect. One of the other things is rows and columns can also be formatted automatically so that you can actually set the row height or the row width or the column width. Again, it's just a matter of clicking, a number comes up, and you change the number. The merge and center option is again, this is a planning option. That what you can do is you can create a multi-row cell. By creating this multi-row cell, I can go into my Excel spreadsheet, and then I can have a cell that has multiple lines within it. The key to this is that if I want to insert, for example, here on this worksheet, I'm going to go ahead and insert a couple of rows. Oops. I am now going to add a title to this worksheet using the Merge and Center feature. I'm going to highlight all the cells that I want to merge and center, and I will click. I can either click Merge and Center, and it will merge and center. And the center part of Merge and Center is it will center the text within the cell. Or I can say click just Merge Cells and still have one whole column. Once I do this, I also have an alignment tool here, so I can say align all the text to the center of the square or toward the top. And I can also align my text left, right, or center. Now, if you'll notice, the one thing I want to point out is when you're using Merge and Center, it creates one single cell. Even though, say, this cell covers rows 1, 2, and 3, and cells A through K, and columns A through K, this is actually still one cell. And we know that it's one cell because the cell address over here on the left in the name box is A1. Now, I can type multiple lines in here. The way I can do that is when I get to where I want to create the second row, if I hit the Enter key to do character turn, it actually will go to the next available cell. In order to have it create an additional line within a cell, I hold down my Alt and Enter key. And every time I hit Alt and Enter, it creates that new line for me. And then I can also go through here and center or do whatever I need to do and make additional edits to the text. Again, to create a line, multiple lines within a cell, it's the Alt and Enter. One of the other neat features of Excel is that I have multiple tabs or multiple worksheets within a workbook. I can format everything all at once. That is, I can format for font, I can format for numeric style, I can format for creating, say, 4 themes within that worksheet. I'm going to go back here back to my Excel spreadsheet. And the way to do this is I am going to access the 3 pages I want to access are Atlanta, Boston, Chicago, and national sales. So what I will do is I will hold down my Shift key and click on Atlanta, Boston, Chicago, and national sales. Now these are adjacent worksheets, and by the way, to unhighlight them like this, I just hold down the Shift key and click again. Since these are adjacent tabs, I can also hold down my Shift key and click Atlanta and click National Sales, and we'll also highlight all of them at once. A neat trick, let me show you a really cool trick here with Excel, is that I've got all 4 of these worksheets open. If I go to my View button, and I click New Window a couple of times, basically what I'm doing, I'm going to click it 3 times, and I'm going to actually open up 3 copies of my worksheet. 1, 2, 3, 4. These are all the same worksheet, but I have 4 copies of it open. Click the Arrange All button and click Tiled, and now all 4 worksheets are open within my Excel workbook. I have all 4 sheets. They're all open at the same time. And as you can see, I've got the Atlanta workbook open. Now I can, using my Tab key, I can now double click on my different tabs. And now I've got Boston open. I double click on the next worksheet in the bottom left corner. I double click on that and tab over to the Chicago worksheet, click on that, and that opens Chicago. And then I click again to select my worksheet that is in the bottom right corner. And I'm going to scroll over and I'm going to click National Sales. Now, as you can see, again, all of these worksheets are highlighted. I still have all my worksheets highlighted here, and I've got all of my worksheets open so I can see them all at the same time. Now I'm going to highlight all these workbooks, and I'm going to go back to my Home tab, and I'm going to highlight Font. I'm going to change the font size to 11. I'm going to click Numbers, and I'm going to make them all currency. And I'm going to pretty much leave it at that and click OK. So now, when I click OK, as you can see, all changed. I have currency here. I have a larger font. If I wanted to change, say, the color of the worksheet, I could actually go ahead and click my text color button, and I could change the text color, say, to a nice incarnate word red if I wanted to. Also, the other thing I could do is I could come over here to my Styles option menu and change the style menu and make that a little bit different as well. And I can make changes, all the changes I necessarily need to make just by clicking on these different buttons. One of the other things that's really helpful here is that I can also do some things like how I want my buttons to look as far as for my orders. So I'm going to click here in that national sales one. I'm going to click and add a top and bottom order to my column 6, because I'm going to do I'm going to want to have like more of a counting style here. And so I highlighted row 6 in the and I can do, since these are all highlighted, I can work with this workbook here. And as you can see, I've got a line in here with a double line. So now I'm going to do some little addition and add the columns of these workbooks together. I can do that. I'm going to go here to Atlanta, and I'm going to click Auto Sum, and I can sum each of these columns. The first thing I did was I just clicked into the cell B6. Okay, Anna, yeah, I'll be glad to do that. So Anna, the way I did that was I'm going to go ahead and go back through the process. So just give me a second. I'm going to close these worksheets. So the first thing I did was I opened up, I have my worksheet here open. What I did was I went to show this my Atlanta worksheet, and I held my Shift key down, and then I clicked on Boston, Chicago, and national sales. And when I did that, they all turned white. Then, have you got that part? Just give me a hand raise so I can see that you got it. Outstanding. Okay, cool. Anna, did you get it? Anna, yeah. Okay. See the tabs for Atlanta, Chicago, and national sales. Just give me a check mark. Click the check mark that says yes, that you saw that part. Okay, so you click on, say, Atlanta first, and then hold your Shift key down and click on Boston and Chicago and national sales. And they should all turn white. Give me a check that worked. Or a hand raise. Cool. All right. So now, once I've done that, I went back to the View tab. If you can click on the View tab, and I clicked New Window 3 more times. Then I clicked Arrange All and clicked OK. I made sure the tile button was cleared so I can have all 5 of these, all 4 of these worksheets shown. So, is that working for you? Just give me a hand raise if you've got it. If you've got all 4 worksheets shown. Cool. Okay. So now, once I've done that, then I can highlight the text, say, in Atlanta, and then go to my Home tab and just start playing around. I mean, it doesn't matter what worksheet that I click in and highlight, as long as all my worksheets are all highlighted white. That means that it's going to change all the worksheets at one time. The next thing I did was, so that I could see each worksheet, is I just went to each tab. I went to, for example, here's workbook 4 in the upper left corner, and that one's Atlanta. So then I clicked on worksheet 2, and I tapped Boston, and I went to worksheet 3, and I tapped Chicago, and I went to worksheet 4 and tapped national sales. And then from the national sales, since that's the one with all 4 items highlighted, then I can go ahead and change all of them at one time. Does that make sense to you? Just give me a check mark or an emoticon or something that lets me know that we're good to go. All right. And you were able to do that successfully, Anna? If you'll give me another check, that'd be great. Okay, good. So the next part about this that I did on it is that I clicked into the Atlanta office here, and I want to add these together. Basically what we're doing here is I'm showing you, like, for example, if you have 12 worksheets where you have a monthly, say that you have a monthly tally of that you create a worksheet for all of the parking citations given, and you want to tally those numbers up by month. We can do that using Excel, working across multiple worksheets, and so we're going to do that. So the first thing I did is I go into this Atlanta here, and I just click this first column, and I just come over here to the upper right-hand corner, and I click Auto Sum. And what that did was, once I hit Auto Sum, hit Enter, and it auto sums that total for me. So the next thing I'm going to do is I can now copy that formula from one cell to the next. To do that, I'm going to take my mouse and I'm going to stick it in the bottom right corner. And as I stick it in the bottom right corner, that fat plus sign becomes a skinny black plus sign. And I'm just going to click and drag. And what this does is it copies my formula from one cell to the next. So once you've done that, let me know that everybody's been able to do that. Just give me a check mark or a happy smiley face or a raised hand or a yes, no, whichever. You're right, John, I can do that too, but I don't have the, well, the reason I didn't do that is I'm going to do, actually, yeah, I was actually doing it the long way. But what John said is that since I have this worksheet with everything grouped together, I can actually do the same functionality, create the same function, and do it so that it totals all of them. So what I just do is I click Auto Sum and hit the number. Well, I want to make data in there, John.
Hey, Gary?
Yeah.
You can do it in the Atlanta tab, because that way your auto sum will work. Or the Boston tab.
As long as I had all four of them highlighted in the Atlanta tab, like that. Okay, so basically what I did was, and the reason it wouldn't work, just FYI, the reason it didn't work when I used this, the corporate sales workbook, is because I had no data in any of these cells. And so yes, I can do this function. I can auto sum, and I can auto sum across all of my workbooks. And then again, I just make this fat plus sign, a skinny one, drag it across, and boom, I have everything in here set up. I can even play around here and make sure my column widths are good, auto widened. As you can see, I got rid of all of the number signs in my Chicago worksheet. I can also say play with this and make sure that even a certain column is centered, and do all kinds of stuff like that too. Let's do this. So I can center all my text in my columns. Now, one of the other things I can also do is I can add each of these columns together. So for example, I could take product 1 from Boston, add it to product 2 from Atlanta, to product 3 of Chicago. And the way to do that is, it's basically a very simple formula. And we're kind of crossing into the formula area, but it works real well like that. If you type an equal sign in corporate sales, in cell B3, and I'm going to type an equal sign, and then I'm going to type an equal sign, and then I'm going to type I'm going to go over to Boston, and I'm going to click into cell 1. I double click on it, and if you'll notice that my formula bar up here, it says = Boston B3. And then I'm going to press my plus sign. Always use the plus sign on your numeric keyboard, which is also the right. Yes.
I'm gonna warn you right there. If you do that in the group one, it's going to try to place that formula in each of those tabs, and you'll wind up with a search error. I just did the same thing.
Oh, yes, that's in group. Thanks. Thank you, sir. There we go. All right. So again, I do a plus sign. I'm going to come over here to Atlanta, and then click I click once to select the workbook. I click the second time to select the cell, and then I'll come over here to Chicago and do the same thing. And then just hit, once that's done, I hit enter, and it's giving me an error because it didn't put a parentheses around it. And as you can see,
now, it gave you the error because you've got these things grouped. You're in a group, and so it tried to put that formula in each of the workbooks. So ungroup the national sales.
Okay. Okay. So is it right now? Looks.
No, yeah, there you go. Yeah. Undo the formula, and then now do it down there, and it'll work perfectly.
Yeah. Okay. What John was telling me is that when I was working with that formula, I had Atlanta, because I was doing the formatting. Since I was doing the formatting, and I had all 4 of those grouped, I was basically annoying the crap out of the formula because I was trying to put the formula in all the cells, and I can't do that. So one thing that you'll want to do is once you say group format, you will need to unformat if you're going to do any kind of formula, work with formulas within any of these worksheets. So again, I'm going to go ahead back to my national sales. I'll type my =, and then I'll click in each of the cells and a plus sign, and then I'll go back through that formula. And, oops. And you'll see 855 plus 55 is 905, and why did it Boston? That's why. Now, if you'll notice, there's an error in my cell, in my formula. So I have to look at my formula bar so that I can see where my formula error was. And what my error was is that somehow I must have clicked in the wrong cell in Chicago, so it was giving me the wrong number here. So I changed this Chicago to B3. Now the really neat thing about Excel is that now once I have that formula written once, I can drag it across, up and down or diagonally, and no matter what, it's still going to give me that same that formula, except it just changes the cell numbers. That's one of the beauties of copying across cells. So, I mean, I can come over here, for example, and I've got $2,000 in corporate sales for quarter 4 for product 3, which is the amount in cell E5. Well, if I add 1,400, if I just do a manual look, 1,400 plus 200 plus 400 is 2,000. So once you have the formula written right, you can copy it, and it's just a beautiful thing. And again, I can copy across worksheets. In addition, I can also do this across workbooks. So, for example, if I were to want to transfer these numbers into a separate workbook, I could do that. One of the other neat things I can do is I am going to click on this Atlanta tab. I'm going to click on the Atlanta tab here, and I am going to click Insert and Sheet. I'm going to add a worksheet. And what this worksheet is going to be is it's going to be the tally. I'll type tally in there onto the worksheet name, and then I can say, type in and so now I have a little worksheet that tallies my sales totals. I can then take this what's in my national sales total here. I'm going to open the sales total here, and I can actually transfer without any kind of to-do. I can transfer these numbers. So, for example, I'm going to copy this information here, quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. I'm going to put them over here. And then what I'm going to do is, through my National Sales button tab, I am going to type, for example, I want to put this amount, this 3090, into cell B2 of my tally. And all I have to do is type an equal sign and then click that cell. Click once to select it and to select the workbook, and then click twice to select the cell. And that amount comes right in here. I can even copy that information by using that copy function. And basically what it's doing is it's a cell reference. I'm saying that the amount that is in this cell is equal to the amount that's in this cell on this worksheet, and that's a cell reference. Excel is just a massively powerful tool for this thing. So how are we doing so far? Everybody, I can see check marks, so everybody's happy. Good, terrific. This thing I find really useful because I have to keep totals on all the training that I do monthly, and so I keep a worksheet that shows who I trained and when I trained them, and then the cover sheet tells me what I did each month. The really neat thing about this is that when you do, if you use the total row, so for example, if you preset your worksheet and have all your totals in a specific cell, then even if you insert rows into those rows will actually insert into the formula. And so no matter how you add data into that cell, this total will continue to change. So for example, if I decided that I needed some numbers for product, that I have a new product, I could actually insert a row, call it product 4, add some numbers, and we're just doing this randomly. Okay, and then as you can see, and all I really need to do is, as you can see, this number has changed here. I added this new number in. The only thing I need to do is change my formula here to change that to reflect B6. And then as I've added information here, that information got added back into my cell. And then I can just copy that formula across, and all my numbers change too. Pretty ingenious, if you ask me. Okay. Now that's actually just kind of took care of that whole group editing, formatting, multiple formats. Couple of things, conditional formatting. Conditional formatting basically allows me to, certain conditions exist in a cell by the font same conditioner style. For example, you can keep a list of students and you can format the cell to change depending on zip code. Or if you have a if you want to make sure that if you see that the numbers, for example, on the numbers of citations go up among a certain amount in a month, you can highlight that so that these will stick out by a change in text color or a change in text style. To do that, I got to go back again to my Excel worksheet, and I'm going to go ahead and go back to View, and I'm going to, from this view, I'm just going to click in each of these workbooks to select it, and then I'm just going to click in the corner, the right corner here, and close all of them so that I only have one workbook open. And what I'll do is click Arrange All and click OK, and it puts my worksheet back into a single folder. So now I'm going to go here to my address book, and actually let's go to National Sales tab, and I'm going to highlight this worksheet, and I'm going to go to Data, and I'm sorry, I'm going to go back to Home and click Conditional Formatting. And I'm going to click, say, Top Bottom Rules. So what I can do here is, for example, I can highlight the top 10%. For example, if I click Top 10%, then this will tell me that the top 10% will have a red fill with a dark red text. Now the only problem with this is that I've done top 10%, but I've got the totals here, and I really don't want to do top 10% with my totals. So I can click Cancel, and I'm going to come back and be more selective about what I highlight. So as you can see, I'm going to just highlight the numbers without the totals in it, go back to Conditional Format, and click Top 10. I can also do bottom 10, above average, below average. So I can kind of get this conditional formatting to work however I want it to. And I can also even do some different kind of text styles. Once you're done with it, click OK. And so this is product 1 is in the bottom 10% of my sales, for example. All right. We've already kind of done the formula thing. Does anybody need some additional assistance or have any questions about formulas? Because I'm gonna, since I went through the, just click an X or raise your hand if you feel like you need some help. As I already kind of covered auto, I covered AutoSum and multiple worksheets when we were working with that page. Here's a couple of really quick things that are really helpful. Anna, you with us still? Cool. Here's a couple of really kind of cool things that you can do for formulas. One of the things that I like to, if I'm going to have to date something, I'm going to go to my tally worksheet and I'm going to insert a row here. And so I can say type in the date that this was done, and in cell B1 I'm going to do an equal sign and today, and then open and close parentheses. And what that does is it gives me today's date automatically. Every time I open up this worksheet, if I open up this worksheet tomorrow, that date will change to tomorrow's date because it's asking me for today. I also do equal sign now, and it gives me the date and the time.
Hey, Derek?
Yeah.
Hate to keep interrupting.
I was hoping we'd have another suggestion.
Yeah, it's very cool. If you want today's date and today's time, that will never change. Hold down the Control key and hit the semicolon key.
While you're there?
Yep. There's the day. Now go down and hit Shift Control semicolon, and there's the time.
Okay.
Shift Control, and then the colon.
Oh,
there's
cool.
the time. And now you've dated and time stamped it, and it won't change.
Okay. Wow, I'm going to have to add that to my bag of tricks when I teach my class. Hold on a second. So it's colon, Shift colon.
Yeah, Control colon will put the day, and Shift Control colon will do the time.
Cool. I knew there was something else. Thanks. So I needed you to be able to provide that. That is really cool. Anna, I assume that there's a lot of stuff you like that. Is that going to be something that you can use that's useful for you? Because I can review that real quick again. Oh, cool. Okay, and you got that all right? Just okay. Awesome. All right. That is one of my favorite things is the copy. Now this is absolute and relative references are really a kind of a really neat feature of Excel. Just as much it was a lot of fun to be able to copy a formula across the cells that we did in that last exercise with our national sales worksheet. There are also times that you don't need to copy across. Basically, you have absolute and relative references. When I copied across from cell to cell to cell, that was a relative reference because the cell value that varied as that formula was copied, but it really didn't matter that if I copied from cell to cell to cell, that because the two items within that formula, or the cells that were in that formula, if I copied it to two adjacent cells, it really didn't matter the change in that formula. Whereas an absolute reference reserves a cellular instant, i.e., I'm referencing a cell that has a percentage of sales increase or a percentage of decrease, or that references something that is a constant within the formula. When we copy those, in other words, by constant, I mean that cell, when you copy it, that value cannot change from cell to cell to cell. So to give you an example of that, if you we're going to go back to this worksheet, and when I go back to my worksheet, I'm going to click, there's a tab on there that's called, actually, of all things, Absolute. And in this absolute reference cell, as you can see, I have initial conditions, first year sales, and then you have annual increases, and they're at percentages. And what basically I want to do is I want to increase my sales by 10% for 2003, 2004, 2005, and 2006. I can do this with a very simple formula of saying 75,000 times 10%, and will give me that sales increase. And then this cell, I'll reference it, and I'll multiply this by 10%, and it'll take this cell, add 10% to it, and give me this cell. Now, a lot of people will just write the formula and say 75,000 times 10% and be done with it. But that always doesn't work for you. And the reason is because what if somebody came into the office and says, we've got new management, and they come in and say, no, no, all these sales figures are off. We think that it's more, prudent to say we're only going to have this 9% sales increase. Well, if I change if I say 75,000 times 10% in my formula, in other words, I write cell B5 times 10%, and I get the same number. But that's great. But if someone comes in and says we're going to downgrade those forecasts, I've got to change that form. I've got to change that amount, that 10%, physical 10% that I wrote in the formula. And so I've got to rewrite all those formulas. Whereas all I have to do is change the reference. Now, I didn't mention this before, and this is as part of the formula discussion. Whenever we work in Excel, we don't work with raw numbers. We work with the cell address. So for example, like in my example that I did with the national sales, I was referencing, cell B5 plus B6, plus B2 plus B3 plus B4, which gave me my auto cell. Or I was working with Atlanta B3 plus Chicago B3 plus Boston B3 to give me my national sales for that product. And that was my cell reference. I was referencing the cells. Well, to write a formula in Excel, it's the same way. To do a formula in Excel, I'm cell referencing. So, for example, I'm going to do a 10% increase in units sold in cell C5. So to get that formula, I'm going to type an equal sign, unclick in cell B5, hit my multiplication sign, and then I'm going to come over here and click in cell D24. And that gives me, oops, forgot to do one thing. I had to put a plus sign in here, and oops, I do a plus sign, and I go back and reference cell B5, and the reason is I'm adding 10%. So B5 times 24 is $7,500 plus B5 is, which is the original amount, makes it $82,500. So okay, so far so good. If you're so far so good, just give me a hand raise. Okay, cool. All right. Now, if I copy this cell across, like we did in our earlier example, it's going to stay at 8250. And the reason is because this cell has to be constant. I push this 8250 here, it's multiplying C5 times E24 plus C5. Well, C5 plus E24 is, well, wait a minute, there's nothing in in E24. So C5 times 0 is 0 plus plus the amount that's in, plus units sold in C5. So it's going to stay 8250 because it's 0 plus 8250. Well, I can't have my formula work that way. So in order for me to be able to copy this formula across, I need to add what's called an absolute reference. In other words, I need to make this cell, D24, constant in my formula. And to do that, all I have to do is press the F4 key. What the F4 key does, or I can manually put in a couple of $signs, but with my typing skills, it's probably better to reference it. So what this does is puts a $sign, and this basically says, I want this row and this column, specifically this cell, to remain constant. So when I do that, and then I copy my formula across my cells, now I'm always referencing D24 no matter what. I'm always referencing cell D24 no matter where my formula is. I can be in 2004, I can be in 2006, I can be in 2005, but I'm still referencing this cell, and that's where the absolute reference comes in. So for this to work, and again, all you have to do is write the formula and then absolute reference it. So as I go through, for example, my unit sold, my unit price is $3,000. The selling price here is going to go up by 3%. So in order to write this formula, I type an equal sign, and it's the $3 plus, again, I reference C5, and then I do a multiplication. And I'm going to do the selling price. It's going up by 5%. So this gives me my selling price increase. And again, once I have that, want to absolute reference that cell with the 5% sales increase, I just make an absolute reference, hit enter, and then I can copy that formula across the cells. And it increases by 5%. John, did I miss anything on that, or is there anything else that you can add?
No, they covered it pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll follow along.
Anna, how's that for you? This is probably the most powerful tool in Excel. I think it's just freaking awesome. And again, I just have to reference cells, and it's really helpful, especially if you're doing some really serious number crunching. Okay. As I said, the biggest thing, and you can refer to this page, is making sure that you press your F4 key. That's going to be the key to making sure that that works well. This is, I usually do the payment thing here. But I'm going to skip over that because there's a couple of other things. But you know, I know Anna, you just bought a car, so you probably don't have to worry about this. But it's a very cool thing if you ever want to figure out what your car payment is before you go in. Once you do the payment function, and basically there is I've got a worksheet worked out for that, so that you can take your, you know, what the list price is, what's your negotiated price is, what your trade-in value is, and then come up with a number. And then once you kind of come up with that number, you can figure out your car payment using the payment function within Excel. And you know, feel free to use that. The goal seek function, though, is very cool in that you can use goal seek to say, for example, if you wanted to finance a car for 5 years, but you only wanted your payment to be $200 a month, then you could figure out either A, what you need to get for your trade-in, or B, how much more you need for down payment to get that payment right. And what the goal seek does is it basically does a what-if analysis that just basically says, you know, if I use my goal seek feature, I can plug in. It allows you to plug in different numbers to figure that out. So that's GoalSeek, and that's kind of a neat feature. Database functions. Database functions there's a couple of things that we can do. We can sort, and then we can also sort using multiple fields. So we're going to go ahead and do that to kind of sort some things, and then we'll show you how to filter as well. So we'll go back to our worksheet here, and we're going to open up the worksheet called, let's see. Oh, one real quick thing I wanted to kind of point out is this form view option. Right to the right of the number 1 key is the tilde, is a key that has the tilde or and the accent on it. If you push that key, you get what is called the form view. And basically what that does is it's the formula view, and it literally shows you what your formula looks like. It has all of your cells, and it shows you the cells in a formula layout. So it's a very, very easy way to check to make sure that your formulas are right. And again, you've got that really great worksheet that we had that showed us how to be able to use my absolute and relative references. Right. Let's see. If you will go to the tab called Addresses, we're going to use this as our option for using the formula option for using the sort and filter options. All I really have to do is select either a cell or a cell within. So for example, and then I can use my sorts. For example, I'm going to go here and click in Addresses and click San Antonio, and I'm going to click Sort and Filter and click A to Z. And what this does is it automatically sorts all my cities from A to Z. I don't actually have to select the column. I don't have to select the entire worksheet. All I have to do is select the cell that will allow me to set this thing up into my numeric value. In addition, I can also say sort by gender or sort by multiple options. To sort by multiple options, I actually have to go to my Data tab and click the Sort and click Sort. And what this does is now I add levels. So first thing I want to do is say, so I'm going to walk through that again. I went through that pretty fast. I'm going to go to the Data tab. I'm going to click the Sort button instead of the short sort A to Z, Z to A. And then, for example, I've already sorted by city. Now I'm going to sort by zip code. And then I'm going to add another level, and I'm going to sort by last name. Now, whenever you're setting up a worksheet to sort, the big thing that you want to make sure that you do is that you put your worksheet in the different columns in your worksheet so that you have that lowest common denominator. So, for example, I want to do last name, first name. When I do the address, I don't want to have the entire address, but I want the address, the city, and the state, and the zip code. I want to separate those as much as possible. This makes this sorting option very helpful. The filter option is a really great tool, especially working with a large data set. Because the problem is that especially when you're working, say, with students, students tend to not pay attention to what they're doing. Am I not? If I'm being rude, please let me know. But the idea here is that there'll be times when you've got maybe three or four different students who will be inputting data into your worksheet. Let's say this is the worksheet for citations during the month. And what I want to do here is I actually want to be able to have that worksheet kind of work for me in that all the data in all the cells is right. So if I'm trying to sort my data, it's sorting all the data that I'm sorting is even. It's all the same. In other words, all the same things are in the same are listed the same way in the column. And specifically where I'm going to have this problem is over here in employer. So what I did is came up here and clicked my filter button. Again, make sure that if you're ever whenever you work with data, always make sure that the first column has got headings on it. And Excel is very good about knowing that headings are there. The next thing I want to do is come over here to employer, and I want to click. And when I click this, this actually tells me what all of my columns are and headings are. Sorry, my phone's ringing. Now, as you can see, when I did that, when I clicked my filter, I've got a couple of things. First of all, I've got Monarch Trophies and Monarch Trophy Studios. I've also got Alamo Tees in advertising, Alamo Tees with a apostrophe. And then I've got Alamo Heights Office Supply, Heights Office Supply. So what I can do with my filter is I can use this to clean up my data. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and I'm going to unselect all. And I'm going to select Heights Office Supply and click OK. So what's happened here is that it's filtered all the ones that say Heights Office Supply. Well, I happen to know that Alamo Heights Office Supply is the right name. So I'm going to come back here and I'm going to check Alamo Heights Office Supply. And then I can just delete Alamo. And then I can come then click in the cell again, do the copy to change it to Heights, and then go back to my filter. And as you can see, I no longer have anything under Alamo Heights Office Supply. It's just under Heights. And now I have 6 entries. I unclick this, and I'm going to go to Alamo Tees and Advertising. So again, I'm cleaning up my data. So if you will, click the one with the apostrophe S, and click OK. And then I'm just going to change that again to Alamo Tees and Advertising. I'll copy that, and I'll go back to my filter, and I'll change to Alamo Tees and Advertising, and I'll filter that, and now I have everybody is under Alamo Tees and Advertising. So you can really use this as a great option to clean up all of your data so that it makes it easier to read the data and get much more accurate information, especially if you're having to sort things in such a way that you want to get as much information as possible. So now when I filtered this, now everything's down to, instead of 7 different areas, I now have only 5 or 8 different areas. I now have 5 different areas from which I'm working with when I'm sorting. And now it's a much better worksheet. I can go in and say, turn off my filter. I can do, I can go back to my sort, and I'm going to delete most of these levels. I'm going to sort it by employer and A to Z, and now everything's much more organized. Okay, what do we think so far? Anna, how's that working? Anna and John? Thanks, John. I appreciate that. Okay. As I said, you'll notice that as I go through the worksheet, we'll talk a little bit about data management. I'm going to show you a couple of really cool tools of concatenate. Have you ever heard of concatenate, Anna? This is a really neat tool. Basically, okay, well, good. And we'll do subtotal and concatenate, and then I've got to end up this. By the way, I am recording this, Anna, so I will once it's done. John can come over here, can come over to the page and actually watch this whole thing. I'll also, later today, if I get a chance, I'll convert it to an MP4 for you. And then John can, I'll have to store it on the page and John can get it anytime. So the first thing I want to touch base with is this function called subtotal. And the thing that's really cool about subtotal is, again, this is where I can manage things a little bit better. It is a data tool, it's a data filtering tool. And basically what it allows me to do is I can sum things according to a certain functionality. For example, I can sum by title. I hate to pick on the police department, so but I'm not on it. But let's say that we want to separate, that we can subtotal if we're keeping records of, say, citations, or we're keeping records of salary. I can put, let's say I've got 4 officers that are making a certain salary. I can subtotal their salaries by how, if they're managers, or if they're, you know, if they're by title. I can do it a whole bunch of ways, and so that's what we're going to do. What we'll do is we'll go back to our worksheet here, and please follow along if you like. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up this worksheet, and we'll do a subtotal. There's a tab called subtotal, and as you can see, I've got all of these guys in here, and they're ranked by whether they're an account rep, whether they're a manager, or anything like that. Give me just a second to open up a document. So with the subtotal function, as I said, I can, I'm working with my filter function, my sort function, and my subtotal function when I do this. So use the subtotal. The first thing I'm going to do as I open this worksheet is I'm going to open the subtotal worksheet. It's right next to the if then worksheet. And I'm going to go ahead and click my filter tab so I can start the filter process. Again, you can click anywhere within the worksheet to start the filtering process. And then I'm going to sort my titles from A to Z, which I've already done. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, on the data tab, which is here, I'm going to come over here and locate subtotal, which is pretty far to the right. And I'm going to click subtotal. Now this gives me a menu, and then from that menu I'm going to choose salary, and then make sure that basically the checkboxes are set up. This is actually already set by salary, and I'm going to click OK. And so what this does is it's giving me subtotals of the different guys by salary. So now one of the things I can also do is filter, and using my filter function, I can look at, say, just my trainee salaries, and it gives me my totals of all my trainees. Or I can come back here to filter, and this time filter by.
Hey, Gary.
Yeah.
Yeah, the subtotal right now is subtotaling based upon changes in last name. If you go back to that and change it by changes in title, it'll probably be a little cleaner.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thanks for noticing that. I'm going to do this by title. Actually, instead of by title, yeah, by title. And then, as you can see, all my it's set it up by account reps, it's set it up by managers, and set it up by trainees. And as I said, one of the things I can do is also, kind of filter that even more so. The other thing is, as you can see, I have these little minus signs and plus signs, so I can actually play with these items and eliminate levels. So I can just say see account reps just by clicking the plus signs and minus signs. Now, thanks for noticing that. I appreciate it. The next thing is concatenate, and this is a really neat feature as well. There's a tab here called concatenate, and as you can see, it just basically gives us the same bit of information as we had before on that employee worksheet. So what I'm going to do is basically what concatenate does is basically allows you to merge data from separate cells into a single cell. They can be next to each other, several cells apart, and then you can be merged into a single column or row. And the cells are moved using cell notation with the data value as an argument. And basically what that means is that I can take, using concatenate, the concatenate function, I can change, for example, if I wanted to, I can say put the PITM number and the name together. So I'm going to take three cells, first name, last name, and PITM, and I'm going to put them into a single cell. Why would I do that? Well, it beats having to, there'll be times when I just want to have that information available to me very easily. And so this is actually, this particular exercise came from the guys over and I taught this to our staff over in the comptroller's office. So basically what I'm going to do is I've got the concatenate thing. I've got my concatenate open, and on column J I've already created the column that says name and PITM. And so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select cell J2, which is the first cell in this list. And then I'm going to come to my formula tab, and there's a formula tab right in the middle is the one that says text. So if you've got that so far, just kind of give me a thumbs up so I can see that. And I apologize, I'm not sharing again. So hold on just a minute. Okay. Okay, so we have that. So we've got my name and PITM. I selected cell J2, and I'm going to go ahead and start the concatenate process. I've gone to the text folder, and I have clicked on text, and a couple of things down. The nice thing about these formulas is they are in alphabetical order. I'm going to click concatenate, and it gives me a list of items that I want to use in the concatenate function. So first thing I'm going to say is I've got text 1, and I'm going to come over here to click cell A2. So I come over to the worksheet, and it says text 1 is A2, and then in text 2 I will type in open quotations space Excuse me. Hold on, I gotta boo-boo.
You move tabs.
Yeah, I saw that. There we go. Moved on me. Okay. So again, I'll click can't make. And then in text 2, I'll go to cell B2. And again, I'll do the open parentheses, space, close parentheses. And then in text 5, I'm going to click cell I12, which is my PINM number. So once I've done all that, I click, and as you can see, it's got everything that exactly what I typed in here. I click OK, and then it says Carl Sagan, and his PINM is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then all I have to do is click and drag those formulas because, and it automatically runs that, gives me the PINM number and name. Is that cool or what?
Hey, Gary, an alternative to that is just to type in a formula. And then rather than using the plus sign to plus cells, you use the ampersand, and it does the same thing.
Okay, and when I type in the formula, so I can actually do an equal sign.
You do equal sign, A2, ampersand, quote, space, quote, ampersand, B2.
So in other words, I take out my
take that out of there,
and then
just put an ampersand where you've got commas. Yeah.
My commas.
That's it.
Oh, that's
yeah,
cool.
It's just a little faster than I find than using the function.
Does that look right?
Yep, that's it. Hit enter. You'll get the same exact thing.
Okay, and it does the same thing. Way cool. Learn something new every day. Yeah. Okay. Real quick, a little one more I want to give you is an if function basically says if the cell value is this, then the statement, then this will appear. It's basically a logical test. If the value is true, one thing will display. If the value is false, another thing will display. And so, for example, let's see if I've got that if then in here. If you click the F, actually, yeah, okay. So, for example, in this case, Anna, I'm going to pick on you again because it's the quickest thing I can think of. If the student has, let's say, you've had people have issued citations, if the person has come in to take care of their statement, their citation. Basically, if you're working with a spreadsheet and you have a spreadsheet that's got 500 citations on it, I want to be able to use a then statement to completely compact this into a manageable data set that just says, yes, I've got this done. And these are the 5 people who have not answered the call, so to speak. And then I can send them an email or whatever. So to do this, again, click on the If Then tab and click in cell. I've already got one that says statement. I've created the folder for it. And so I'm going to click F2 and I'm going to go to our formula toolbar, formula tab, and click logical and click if, which is for if then statements. So then basically if I'm going to type if, and I get this menu here, Logical test is if, let's say, E2 equals, you could say, I'm going to say 0. So if I'm going to type in here E2, or I can click in cell E2, and then equals 0. For example, now if you type in, say, the student, I need to make sure that there's spaces in here, by the way. If the student has come in to check on their ticket, you could have a yes, no. So value if true is, in this case, no, because the if then works on a yes, no statement. So value of true is no, and value of false is yes. You just type that information in, click OK, and then again I'm going to click and drag. And so now I can come over here to my data, filter it, and then I can filter it to show me the no's, and it will do that for me. Okay. Now, by the way, the reason that the first time I did that, and it showed Carl Sagan as a yes, it's because I'd selected that cell, and so I was filtering from the cell instead of filtering from the cell title. There's a bunch of other stuff in here. Isness, which is helps you to give you information about the status of the cell or function results. I'll be honest with you, it confuses the crud out of me. And then there's a bunch of stuff on doing page setup for margins and stuff. I'm just not going to have time to get to it. But I've sent you the PDF I've sent you this worksheet as a PDF, and then I'm so that you can have this, and of course you have the worksheet to reference everything. So you've got a lot of tools on hand to be able to help you as we go along. And then you know, I've also got a very valuable source in JT because JT's helping me do taught me a couple of things today that I didn't know. So I appreciate that. Are there any questions? If you want, go ahead and just type it out into the work into the text thing, and I'll go ahead and try and answer them if I can. If not, I hope to see you guys at our next session. And as I said, I am recording this. I'm going to shut off the record, and I will send, and there will be a link. And there'll be a link for the recording so that you can access it. And I'll also send this to everybody who couldn't attend today, so at least they get the opportunity to get this. Thank you for your applause, and I thank you for your time. Please don't feel free to email me, and if you like this session format, let me know. Shoot me a mail, and CC Ana Gonzalez on it as well, because we'll be sending you a survey as well. But if you like the session, if you like the format, please let me know. And Ana, we'll look forward to having you guys in again, and I won't pick on you as much the next time. Thanks again for your time. Have a wonderful day.